Arnold Schwarzenegger built one of the clearest identity brands in modern celebrity life. He did not gently drift into being seen as an Austrian figure. He arrived with that specific nationality stamped on absolutely everything people noticed first. The rural birthplace, the thick accent, the bodybuilder story, the army service, the immigration story, and the massive pride in where he came from all built that image. Even the title of his own life story pushes that image incredibly hard, claiming he was born in Austria and made in the United States. That story is clean, it is powerful, and it is very easy to remember. Because it is so simple to remember, most Americans simply stop right there. You hear the accent, picture the snowy village in Austria, think of the young man leaving Europe for America in 1968 and lock his whole identity into one tiny box. People look at him and assume he is fully Austrian, and they think that is the absolute end of the story. But what you believe about the most famous Austrian in the world is missing a massive hidden layer. The world saw one simple identity, but his actual family tree held much more than one. You probably use a person's birthplace as if it were their exact ethnicity, and with Arnold, that habit becomes almost automatic. He looks like the perfect case for it because he was born in Austria, raised in Austria, and served in the Austrian army. He speaks with the accent of Austria and publicly identifies with the country. But the deeper, hidden part of his family tree actually begins with his paternal line. Arnold has confirmed Czech roots through his paternal great-grandfather. His ancestor's name was Václav Mák, and he came from Bohemia, in what is now the Czech Republic. That one single fact completely changes the clean picture you thought you knew. Václav was born in 1841 in Kochov near Plzeň. He later moved to Styria in Austria and worked as a blacksmith. He faced a harsh, shifting environment under the old Habsburg Empire where different languages, villages, and loyalties constantly mixed in ways that later national branding completely flattens. Václav fathered a child out of wedlock with a woman named Kunigunde Schwarzenegger. They initially named the boy Karl Mák. Karl made a quiet decision that altered the course of public history forever. He decided to take his mother's surname instead of his father's. That decision matters because it completely hides the Czech line in plain sight. The paternal bloodline remained inside the family, but the visible family name became Schwarzenegger. Over time, the surname sounded thoroughly Austrian, making the hidden line much easier to miss. That one single turn helps explain exactly why Arnold could grow up under one strong Austrian identity while carrying a much quieter Bohemian current underneath it. A Slovak researcher named Alika Jančoková traced this line and gave that paternal contribution a number, estimating 12.5% Czech ancestry from that documented Mák line. That means the man famously known as the Austrian oak already contains a very clear Bohemian branch. But the biggest surprise actually comes from the maternal side of his family tree. Arnold's mother, Aurelia Jadrny, carried a distinctly Czech surname that is strongly linked to Bohemia and Moravia. That specific surname is the entire hinge of the ancestry argument. The name Jadrny is linked to a Slavic root word, jader, which means core or kernel. It sounds exactly like the kind of name that belongs to Czech and Moravian worlds, not to a clean German-only bloodline. If her line was strongly Czech in origin, then Arnold's total Czech heritage could rise sharply. Based on these clues, Jančoková concluded that Arnold Schwarzenegger could potentially be more than 50% Czech. That is a startling idea because it runs directly against the public shorthand created around him. The clearly documented paternal piece opens the door, and the maternal surname swings it wide open. Arnold himself added another fascinating clue to this complex family puzzle. In a 2007 interview, he explicitly stated that he grew up in a bilingual household. He tied his childhood directly to both the German and Slovenian languages. Even his family dinner table helps build that mixed mood. Aurelia cooked goulash and sauerkraut, which were foods Arnold personally linked to a Yugoslav or Slovenian feeling inside the home. The public easily bought the purely Germanic myth because his films and his voice turned his body into a massive visual symbol. But inside the walls of his childhood home, Arnold lived a distinctly mixed borderland reality. He grew up in an old Robert F. Kennedy tennis tournament. He confidently walked into a world already deeply shaped by the Kennedy orbit and met Maria Shriver. She worked as a journalist and belonged directly to a family that lived at the absolute center of American politics. Family lines remained forever crossed in blood. Arnold and Maria's children, including Patrick, now permanently carry a dual heritage. He could have easily been just another broken, forgotten man completely trapped inside rural Austria. Instead, he forged himself into a relentless weapon of sheer will. He took every single piece of heavy family baggage and used it to propel himself across the world. He built an unbelievable empire with his physical body, charmed his way into a legendary American dynasty, and seized incredible political power. He did not just survive his highly complicated ancestry, he boldly confronted it. He took a family name marked by deep darkness and completely redefined what it meant. He became a living argument that a person can come out of a deeply compromised inheritance and still choose a completely different end. He did not erase the dark shadows behind him. He outgrew them, turned back, named them, and then kept walking forward.